Hi, welcome. Welcome to the first Journalift webinar in this year. My name is Sanja Lazic, and I will be your moderator for today's discussion. I'm very excited to talk to today's guests because it is a topic that is of my personal interest, but more importantly, I think it's a topic that many media outlets in the Western Balkans are interested in, and maybe even wider. So as you already know, we'll be talking about the ways newsrooms can better engage with younger audiences. And the reason we chose this topic is because it seems that newsrooms today have a very difficult task. Not only are they under constant pressure to gain and retain their current audiences, the fact is that their audiences are also getting older, and they need to find ways to make their content more interesting and engaging for the younger generations. But in that process, it seems that some media organizations are realizing that they do not know as much about these younger generations whose needs they're supposed to satisfy. So I hope that today we will be able to answer at least some of the questions and try to give solutions maybe, and try to understand how newsrooms can overcome this gap. Are there any instructions maybe, or guides or tools media organizations can use to make this process less turbulent or more smooth? And the crucial question, is opening a TikTok account going to solve all the problems? Which is the question that seems to be of interest of many. So I'm very happy to present to you my guests today. The first one is Marina Zec. She is the founder and editor-in-chief of Oblakoder, an online media magazine that shares and talks about the stories of young people, activists, artists, cultural workers in Serbia, but also in the Western Balkans, I would say. She is also a PhD student and a media researcher at the Faculty of Dramatic Arts at the University of Arts in Belgrade. So she has her, both perspectives that she will be able to share with us today. Our second guest is Norbert Šinković. Norbert has more than 20 years of experience in journalism and consultancy work in the Western Balkans region and Central Europe. He is also a teaching assistant at the Department of Media Studies at the Faculty of Philosophy in Novi Sad. And our third and last guest for today is Lorin Kadiu, a journalist and the executive director of Citizens Channel, an NGO media based in Tirana, Albania. He also specializes in multimedia production, working as a producer for several documentaries, podcast series, and visual investigations. So welcome, guys. I'm very happy to see you today. And to audience members, before we start going into questions, please write down your questions in the Q&A part of the menu, and we will answer them at the end. Also, we are recording the webinar, as you can see, so you'll have the opportunity to go back to it and kind of get all the information again if you need to. So I will start with Lorin, actually. When I was preparing for the webinar, I went through the social media channels of both your media. And I realized that the audience of Citizens Channel is primarily on Facebook. And would you say that this is a general reflection or a fair reflection of social media habits of young Albanians? And from your experience, what are the primary sources of news for them?
Thank you, Sanja, for the question. In fact, that's very important to us. We've been analyzing the data. One of the issues is that we have very few sustainable sources of data about the audience behavior. So sometimes you have to guess, or you have to go by your own analysis, what goes wrong, what goes well. We have chosen Facebook because in 2017-18, when we started, Facebook was the main source of information, or I can say the social media platform where people spend the the most time. If you see at Albanian audience, Twitter, for example, is very low. It's usually used for communicating with the international agencies. So most of the Albanians write on Twitter in English. We mostly write in Albanian, almost exclusively write in Albanian, and we have built our presence in Facebook as the main channel, also because the platform itself is very, I guess, is very friendly to media content. Of course, it changes by time to time. From the time we started until now, Facebook policies have changed a lot. It has become more oriented towards suggested and paid content, but still it's more easy to share external links, for example, to your website on Facebook compared to Instagram. Instagram has also taken some steps forwards towards that. You can include links in stories, but you still cannot include the links into the posts. And since the very beginning, we have tried to adapt to the platform. So our content is mostly short videos in a square format that you can consume in any given situation. You don't have to turn on the audio because everything is on subtitles or on captions, even the interviews. What we have sensed now is that, of course, there's a bit of resistance. So we are a very youth-led media, but we still are afraid of becoming traditional in a way. So now we're starting to experiment in new channels. YouTube Shorts, for example, is in our plans for the future year. And also to answer your question, the TikTok channel, of course, it will not solve every problem, but we will also try to build a presence there. What I'd like to point out is that, of course, it's easy to open a channel. It's easy to open an Instagram account. It's easy to open a Facebook account. But if you take the material you create for YouTube and publish it everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, it won't work. So it needs extra effort. It needs extra human resources in order to build the content that is adapted to the behavior of the audience in each of the given platforms.
Thank you, Lorin. And I would like then to go to Marina actually and follow up on what Lorin actually said. So he said that for them, Facebook is easiest way to kind of get to the link and watch the content they produce. In your case, actually, even though your demographics are similar in terms of the audience and people who follow your media, your audience is mostly on Instagram. So how does that work, and how much of your website visits actually come from Instagram? And on the other hand, what has proven to be the best hook for people to actually read the content?
We mostly focus on Instagram, and that's that's a conclusion that we have come to because we have tested all of the social media networks when we started. So we were posting things on Facebook and on Instagram simultaneously, and we found out that actually there's a larger audience on Instagram when it comes to young people that are in Serbia and in the Western Balkans, because our audience is not only, as you said, from Serbia, but from the whole actually Serbo-Croatian speaking region. They all follow us. But at the same time, Instagram has proven to be the most effective one and the one that we have the most reach on. But at the same time, when we use Facebook ads and so on, there's not a big difference in how many clicks there are on Instagram and Facebook. So if you are working with Facebook's algorithm, you can reach an audience. There's also a difference that on Facebook, we have a slightly older audience, and on Instagram, we're reaching a slightly younger audience. And also when it comes to demographics, on Instagram, we're mostly reaching women, and on Facebook, men. So that's a difference. But there's also a statistics that's very shocking when it comes to social media, and where our audience comes from is that half of our audience goes straight to the website. so they don't go through social media channels, which is for our audience very, I mean, it's not expected. You would expect that they would come through all of these channels. And for me, the most magnificent thing is that they type in the website, the main page, and then they go and scroll through the website and find articles. So I think that we should use social media as a tool, but at the same time, I think that there's a need for media outlets to educate their audience, not just to get informed through social media, but to go to direct websites, to direct media outlets. They can, I mean, they can go to Oblakoder, to the Instagram, page, and then go to the website, but still go directly there and not only be informed through posts that come up on their feed or things that their friends have shared or influencers have shared, people they're following. I cannot say that because I'm also 28. So we have become very lazy in finding news. And we think that there's actually a scientific phenomenon. It's named News Finds Me phenomenon, that young people around the world think that they are informed by just scrolling and being in their own bubble. And more and more scientific data proves them wrong. So we have become a bit lazy. And this is why I don't think we should use these tools. These tools are very advanced. You can never make a website that will be as user-friendly as Instagram is and as addictive as Instagram is. But at the same time, we need to guide our audiences to go straight to the websites and not become, I can say colloquially, slaves of these social networks and the formats that we're using because of them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marina. And Norbert, do you think that young people are lazy when it comes to their habits and their access to news? I mean, as I mentioned in the introduction, you're also a teaching assistant at the Department of Media Studies. From your experience and talking to future, journalists, has the way they perceive journalism and news changed? And if so, how?
So to answer to your first question, I don't think that they are lazy. They're not lazy at all. They just have a different perspective. And they have a different perspective on different things. So if you ask me what is changed, but this is not, these changes are not exclusively connected with the new generations, with the younger generations, but with the elder and senior generations as well. We don't speak about them because this is not a focus right now, but we could see some very interesting trends in a way how, for example, the elder generation is consuming media content. But let's talk about the younger generation. So basically, there is a change in two levels, what we could see. One, there's a change connected with the way how we see what journalism is today. And the second thing is, the second level is connected with the perception of the media. So let's talk first just briefly about journalism, because this was your first question. So the first thing is that people in general, and especially the younger generations, they see journalism as a quite risky profession. They don't see what is behind that. They don't understand what is the main motivation to be a journalist. And the second thing is they see that profession as a profession with a low income, which is all true. And this is not, as I mentioned, it's not exclusively dedicated or connected with the younger generation. This is something what you can hear from a bit elder people as well, or senior members of the media sphere. So this is basically, I would say, the perception of a general perception of our profession, professional journalism. So I don't think that they that we could talk about huge differences between the younger generations and the more experienced or elder generations, how they see or understand journalism. What is the, but for me, I would say that the biggest change is actually on the other side, on the side of the media. What we see as a media. What is a media today? We are talking about social media, social networks as a professional, traditional media outlet. And this is one of the challenges today. So we don't talk about traditional media outlets like television, radio, newspaper, websites, online media. Those things are also traditional media. So saying that online media is something new, it's not new. So it's like more than 20 years it's here. So it's like the way how we understand social media is a source of a huge challenges from my perspective. What does it mean? We don't understand, and when I say we, I mean the younger generations and the elder generations as well. We don't understand the differences between social media platforms and so-called traditional media platforms. And this is crucial because this is what I'm telling to my students as well. So the first, on one side, so we have traditional media outlets with a very clear rules based on laws and bylaws, based on code of ethics. All those things are also have some kind of impact on our work. So we know what are the rules. Okay, and you have some kind of sanctions if you don't follow those rules. In the case of social media is a commercial, it's a business. And this is what we should, the logic behind the social media is not a public good or a public, so it's not public good. It's not something which stays behind it. We are working and we are representing the society. No, social media has a very clear business motivation. So this is the main thing. Social media is not here to inform us. Social media is here to collect some data about us, to make money based on that data, to test some ideas, and so on and so on. So the perception is the key question. How we understand the media, what is the media today? And now this interaction with these new platforms, social media and traditional media, so we have this mix of different things, we have an impact on the way how we understand journalism. Mm-hmm. So, and what are the main things, the main changes? One of the main changes is that we should change, and when I say we, I mean journalists. So we should change the way how we tell our stories. This is what I see as a main challenge for all of us in the media sector. Later on, we can talk about the differences between different groups, and we have some very specific things which are quite related to the Gen Z, the younger generations. But I would say so in this first part, we could say that we see two changes, two different moments. It's a way how we understand journalism. So it's not just like I have to deliver the news, but also to filter the information and verify the information and present it in a way which is acceptable for different generations. And the second thing is, what we could see is the way or the changes are related to the definition of media or understanding the media. So today, there is no, unfortunately, and this is a huge issue, there is no clear border between social media and traditional, so-called traditional media. But the rules in these two groups are absolutely different.
Thank you for this part, and we will come back to it later on because I want to follow up on the difference between journalists and journal influencers, or however we want to call them. But before that, I would like to go to Lorin, actually. And Norbert actually mentioned that one of the key questions is also how we present the news and how we promote them, or let's say it like that. But also available research suggests that young people are not disinterested in hard news, or whatever we want to call them, but rather in the way we report about them, the way media presents them. And your media has managed to make even political and investigative content approachable. So can you talk a bit about the way you approach these stories and how you present them?
Yes, so first thing I would like to point out something. We have to be aware about the context. So the battlefield for attention is very diverse. In the online sphere, you do not compete only with other media. You compete also with all the influencers, all the meme pages, all the entertainment pages that are there. So first thing is to become aware of this. I can say that for us, what worked is that we created the workflow in that way. So basically, each of the journalists at Citizen Channel are trained to individually become content creators. So they can film by themselves, they can edit by themselves, and they can publish if they want. So this gives you a great advantage to multiply your forces in this battle for attention in the online world. Of course, by saying this, I wouldn't want to sound like we have given up the traditional ethical standards of journalism. So this is a challenge to make something that is at the same time attractive, but it's not, clickbait or not newsworthy, or doesn't deliver on the promise it gives you from the very beginning. But some of the ways, if I can do a short list of the techniques that we have used, some are more successful, some are not. So sometimes we have failed, sometimes we have succeeded. But some of the ways are, the first one is to make it digestible. That's what also Norbert said. What we have invested our time to do is to get a multi-platform approach. For example, you do 1,000 plus words article that is very detailed, has a lot of data research and hyperlinks, and you turn it into a 3 or 4 maximum minute video that is more appealing, easier to consume. And then there are the users itself are the multiplicators. So you only have one opportunity to share it. You have to find the right time, you have to find the right keywords, and then the fact that it will be successful or maybe go viral is up to the audience. They are the multiplicators by sharing, clicking, liking, and sending it to other users. Of course, what I would also like to say is to try different mediums, not only in terms of the platforms, but also in terms of the kind of content you produce. So, for example, we have also tried sometime to switch to turn investigations that are long read into these short info cards with one sentence and one big pictures that tells the most important part of the story. And of course, all of this needs to be complementary, needs to add. You cannot repeat an article in the video. The article is for reading, the video is for watching. So it should be, first it should be visually good, and then you can add all of the data. I always joke, it's about giving the data and the information like medicine. You do a good framing, you take a good picture, and then you give the data in there. And the third thing I would say is also engaging with the audience. Like I think everyone that spends time on social media is aware of how important it is to engage with the people, because they can make your product be, you know, very visible to everyone, or they can just ignore it. And it's the easiest place to ignore stuff is online, because you can scroll down and replace it with some other information. For example, last year, the ACR tool, we tried with the support of Thomson Foundation, and Björn was very interesting, because people built some sort of belonging with the product that we created. So we had the opportunity, using the tool, to ask questions and make the people feel like they are really partaking in the process of creating news. So me personally, I would be very interested to read an article that I have contributed to give some sort of information about. So this is not the only way of engaging with the audience. Of course, you can also engage with the comments. You can ask people what they want to read more, if they like the product or not, what topics do they want you to cover. This goes down to your editorial priorities. Of course, we're not saying that you will be oriented by the desire of the audience, because as a media, we also have a mission to educate the audience. And to sum it up, I would also add one other way is, for example, these environments that are more intimate than the pages. Facebook groups is great. Facebook audio rooms is a great place that is very easy to use, or Twitter audio rooms. Twitter is not the most used social network, but it's a place to build up conversations with the audience. And it's much easier to do an audio room than to do a podcast. For example, we're running now a podcast for the third year, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time in production, post-production, editing, and sharing, publishing. In the audio rooms on Facebook and on Twitter, it is the platform who has created all of the infrastructure for you to do it in a very easy way. Of course, it has this whole panorama needs to have a strategy. We're in the process of perfecting our strategy. So the strategy of our strategy is learning by doing. You try something, you see if it works, and then you reflect about it on the good and the bad side. And I would like to end it by saying that what has worked for us might not work for another media, but still we have also learned a lot from other people's experience. So we've seen what big media outlets like, I don't know, The Guardian, AJ Plus do, and we try to adapt that kind of content to our way of doing journalism.
Thank you. These are all, I think, very valuable insights. And Marina, to follow up on what Lorin was previously talking about, can you tell us a bit more about the different formats Oblakoder uses and what has proven to be most popular?
Well, yeah, we as a website, but as a multimedia outlet, use different formats from, let's say, basic text articles through, I mean, we organized very different things. We had video shows, we had podcasts, we had live debates, we had events. We also have a print.
Only recently, sorry, you a few days ago had a documentary, right?
Yes, it's our first one. So we had a short documentary about air pollution in Belgrade. So yeah, we like trying out new things. We have started using TikTok several months ago, so we are using all of that. And we have a print edition, so I would say that we really like to expand our content as much as we can. But I have to say, for us, I mean, the basic root of every story when it comes to storytelling is writing. So for us, the article and a long read article are actually our most read stories. So We can make a video documentary, can do some kind of a podcast and show, but if we investigate some topic and do a very good long read, our audience will most of the time read that, and that will be their preferred content. I mean, I think that as Norbert mentioned, and then Lorin followed up, a younger audience today likes to be informed, but also they now they have more choices. So we all compete with everything. Lorin mentioned that they're competing with meme pages. We are as well. So at the same time, you're competing with a meme page, with BBC, The Guardian, and your local print outlet. So it's very, very challenging to grab their attention. But I think now young people, they like videos, and the whole industry is pushing videos year after year, and it will be more and more like that. But at the same time, they don't dislike reading. So when we're asking the question, what type of content, it doesn't only come up to the question, what type of content we should produce, but what are the stories that we are covering? So, I mean, we can make extra interesting content about any topic, but at the same time, I think that what will make the biggest differentiation, what they will click and what they will read, is what the topic is. So because I know when we write about mental health issues, about things that are concerning them, it doesn't matter if it's like a 5-page article, they will read it. So I mean, when it comes to what brings the most clicks, okay, we take care of our aesthetics. That is something that we pay really attention to, and we'll want all of our content to be visually pleasable, so that you also think that it's aesthetically nice. But at the same time, I mean, the short answer would be, okay, you can post on Instagram every day, you can use TikTok videos, you can use Instagram Reels, the algorithms will push your content. That is true from the technical side, but at the same time, I think the questions that you're asking, the stories that you're doing, this is what makes a difference, and not only the type of content that you're producing, because every type of content on the internet now has its own audience. It might be a niche audience, but there are young people who prefer podcasts. There are young people who prefer reading. There are young people who like short videos that are 1 minute to up to 5 minutes long. There are young people who go on YouTube and watch documentaries that are old and that are new. So I think that media outlets have a privilege that they can choose now whatever type of content they can make, but they need to focus on that specific one and then work on that one, which is also contrary to what I'm saying that we're doing, because we have different content, but we like experimenting from time to time. But as I said, our base are basically just articles.
And can you just briefly give us an example of an article that caught a lot of attention, but that surprised you?
Well, the last one that caught a lot of attention and that really surprised us, but was not, I mean, it's not, yeah, okay. So the article actually was about why there aren't many concerts of popular or global artists in Serbia anymore. And it was just a question that popped into my mind, and then it was, okay, maybe we should start thinking about it, and it turned into a long read because I talked to a lot of professionals from that field. So we thought, okay, this would be interesting only for the people who are in this industry, in this area, but it turned out that it was really a long read, and it caught a lot of attention, and a lot of young people read it, and it actually fired some also discussions about what is happening and so on. So people started interacting, commenting, and yeah, that was one of them.
Turned out you weren't the only one that noticed that there aren't many big concerts.
Yeah, everyone was a bit frustrated, and then I mean, these are the types of topics that attract attention. So when you start thinking about, I mean, that is what journalism is, about things that are happening around you, and then you start investigating them and seeing how it affects the society and so on. I mean, we have also others that are concerning work rights and also public traffic in Belgrade. So, as I said, there are a lot of things. People like to read things that that concern them and that they can relate to, and that can give them the answers to questions that they are asking themselves. So, yeah.
Thank you. And Norbert, I would like to go back to thing that I kind of jokingly mentioned, but then you mentioned as well, which is TikTok. That seems everyone is talking about it, and even Marina said they are also on TikTok, kind of testing it all. I think that there are two opposing opinions when it comes to it in terms of media organizations and their perspective. I think that one part is thinking about it the same way we were talking about podcasts years ago, that this is a trend that everyone must, start and try, while others, I think, argue that it's a waste of time because it's now trending, but then it will go, and then you wasted a lot of time and resources. And yeah, so what is your opinion?
Well, of course, this is not, it's sometimes like gambling. So you don't know which platform will be the next home of new audiences. So it's like it's a normal thing. We had this platform called I forgot the name of that platform. It was quite popular at the very beginning as an audio platform for younger generations and then professionals as well. And we thought, okay, this is a new platform which will give us more space to present our podcasts or present our live talk shows on social media. And then at the end it died somehow. So this is also a possibility with TikTok or with other platforms. So it's not about you don't know what will be the future of these. We cannot know what will be the future of these platforms. But the main message is, from my point of view, is not on which platform, but in which form. So what we saw and what we can see actually based on Instagram, based on BeReal, based on TikTok, there's one moment which is quite important. It's the visual moment. So texts, what Marina said, it was quite interesting for me. She said this old version, like writing, typing, publishing some text. But this is quite important. This is quite important remark. So yes, text is important, but not as important as the visuals are. So if we understand that we should somehow translate our text into videos, or change the way how we try to explain the world and the society around us, this is the best way. So use visuals, use multimedia. And for example, different research show that we have three main characteristics of the so-called Gen Z, which is so popular nowadays in the media. Gen Z, those are people who are now around 22, 3 and 28, 30, let's say. So those people have that generation has three very important characteristics. One is that they like multimedia. Combination of text, photos, videos, audio, podcast, everything. So this is quite interesting. The second thing is the multitasking moment. So when they are during the period when they are consuming media content, they are doing it on different channels at the same time. Just to explain to, and it's not so complicated as it sounds. For example, we all know the situation that people around us, especially the younger generations, are watching TV. At the same time, they are scrolling on social media, on their smartphones.
I have to stop you. No one is watching TV in Gen Z.
But it's not true. Actually, it's not true. It's just, our perception. But it's very interesting. This is the reason why I told this watch TV. There is a research which is now in a process of reviewing, and it's based on it's for Serbia. It's not for the rest of the Western Balkan region. But it shows actually that television has quite important role in all generations. It's maybe not the same as in when we talk about the elder generations, but younger generations are still somehow connected with television. Still, although we have this image about the new generation, they are just on smartphones. That's not true. They are, of course, on their laptops. They are watching Netflix, HBO, whatever. So some streaming services, but still. But the main message is that we have three different things. One is multimedia. The second is multitasking, which means that all of us here, journalists, we have less than 10 seconds, according to some research, some data. We have around 7 seconds to catch somebody's attention. So it's not minutes. It's not like, it's 7 to 10 seconds. It's nothing. So this is the second thing, it's multitasking. And the third thing is gamification. The Gen Z needs content which gives them an opportunity to have some kind of interaction with them, with the content. So it doesn't have to be like, like in some very popular streaming platforms that you could choose the way how the story will develop or something like that. So small media outlets could also change the way how they present their content. For example, polls are quite interesting. Some quizzes. So quiz is something which is quite popular every generation has some kind of positive relationship with the quizzes. So those things are part of gamification. And these three characteristics are quite important for Gen Z. But also, let me tell you just two more things. What is news for the Gen Z and what is news for us, millennials or boomers? It's quite different. So the definition of news in a case of Gen Z is much wider than in the case of millennials or boomers. In the case of millennials and boomers, there's the news is mostly related to some very political related topics, social related topics. It's so-called hard news. The younger generations like those softer versions of the news, like education, infotainment, arts, in some ways sports. So all these things are here, and they are following those celebrities. Those are things which they are following right now on social media and everywhere else. Plus one more thing, which is quite important, and this is where we see a big challenge for the journalists as well, and for the norms and rules which are, today part of our profession, is the Gen Z, especially, not the Gen Z, maybe the so-called alpha generation. So this is between 18 and 24. So those people are thinking that climate changes, green stories are crucial. This is why I was happy when I heard from Marina that they worked on those. You heard from Marina, all those topics are, in most of the cases, social related, of course, but there's green stories, climate changes, health issues, and so on and so on. So this is one topic. And they think, for example, according to Reuters Institute, so they had this quite interesting research in 2019. And they said, so according to this research, younger generations, and I will read now that moment, they think that journalists should be free to express their personal views on social media. Because we have a trend right now that the media companies are trying to somehow control the way how journalists are working or living, presenting themselves on social media. And this is a trend. They would like to regulate that part of their work. And these new generations are like, no, I would like to hear from the journalists who are working on those topics what they actually think deeply about some political issue. Give me their opinion, and it doesn't mean that he or she is not professional. It just shows, because in the news, of course, all the journalists, if they are professional, they will give chance to both sides or all the relevant sides to tell what they think or what is important for the story. But if you ask me as a journalist, for that younger generations, it would be normal and acceptable to hear their personal thoughts of the journalist. And this is quite important, because if we see that the most of the cases, influencers are talking about their thoughts related to some products, related to some social issues, related to some music. So it's not that they are presenting some, neutral position. So the influencers are quite subjective in their work.
Thank you. And you actually answered my second question that I had for you, but I would like to ask both Lorin and Marina in the context of what Norbert mentioned. So we see a growing number of different platforms, but we also see a new trend, which is, or not that new, but newer trend, definitely, of influencers doing the job of a journalist, or whatever we want to call it. People who now have huge followings, bigger than any journalist we can name right now. So what is your take on this? And where is the limit? Who do we trust? How do we understand this? What is your take?
So for me, it goes this way. If influencers want to do the role of the journalists, then us as journalists need to do the role of the influencers in order to respond. Because, as I said before, the fight for attention is very strong. But of course, this is an issue in a way, because by being, I don't know, visually appealing, attractive, and oriented towards young audiences, you don't have to compromise with the standards. Everyone knows that, comments, interpretations, sometimes jokes and mean things, not fact-based, are very interesting for people to consume and to learn about, especially if, I don't know, includes personal details about people's life. For example, now in Albania, since a month and a half, we are in a Big Brother epidemic that is crazy, as it is all over the social media. It's every news outlet is talking about it. and the influencers are taking a huge role about analyzing everything. And what we're doing at the same time is we're underreporting the other issues. So we know there's a specific amount of attention and of media times and of media content a person can consume. If it goes all in this direction, and all the media itself, but also the individual influencers that do not belong to a media logo that has, I don't know, a code of ethics, some standards, etc., are doing. But I see that there's a tendency for also the online media to function the same way as the influencers are. So this is a bit concerning. Saying this is the dark side. On the positive side, I think that there's a lot to learn from people who have important social media presence. And we see, for example, in big Western media, the line is very thin between the media and the journalists. So the journalists are becoming a media themselves, even with their own social media channels. They do journalistic work on Twitter, for example, or they do publish their opinions, not anymore at the columns of the newspaper, but on their own social media accounts. So what I think media should do here is to promote more the journalists that are working. We know that on online media, most of the time people do not write their name in the articles or only their initials in the articles. So, for example, what we have tried to do is to promote the profile of each individual journalist. We put the name, we put a short bio at every article they produce, and for the future we are thinking to do a series of videos with the journalists that they can interpret the news. So you go to report about something, and it's again you who give some kind of brief assumption of or interpretation of what you have reported. Of course, there are hundreds of questions here. Is it objective? Is it ethical, etc.? But for us, for example, we are a media led by mission, and sometimes we go the line between objectivity is very thin when you have more of an engaged and activistic approach. This can work for us, but cannot work for the other media. So I don't know if this answers your question, but I think the influencers are another very important actor in this environment that has a huge flow of information, and we have to adapt. There's nothing we can do to fight it. If we fight it, we're wasting energy in a way.
Marina, I saw you nodding while Lorin was talking. So I wanted to ask you, since you said that you started a TikTok channel, did you think about finding one person that will represent your media on TikTok and kind of make the content more personalized? And just briefly, please give us an overview on this topic.
Yeah, our youngest journalist, who is part of the Gen Z, she does TikTok. We have put it in her hands and said, okay, you do what you feel is best because you know the content best. But yeah, I think when we're talking about influencers and journalists and comparing them, I think it's a very slippery slope, because again, there's different logic. When you're an influencer, you need views because of earning an income. You use that as a business model. And when you are a journalist, you and your media outlet, you need views because you want your story to be spread more and more. So honestly, at Oblakoder, we're very against making our journalists influencers. We understand that we are public personas because we advocate for some topics, but we do not want to make our we're a bit I can again use that word, traditional in a sense, because we want our media outlet to be a priority. So you can trust Oblakoder and you can trust the authors that write for it, that create the content, but we don't want to make superstars out of anyone who works there. So I think that's a very big difference, and that in infotainment world that we live in, and that all of that is set as a priority to be also providing information, but to be attractive, to make content that's interactive and so on. I mean, we do all of that, and we've done it even by not knowing that it's, as Norbert mentioned, that it's gamification. We did like stories about fake news. We made quizzes about it that were interactive and so on. But I think that there should be, when it comes to influencers and this talk about journalists and influencers, there should be a line. And there should be a line where journalists stand and say, okay, we can come up to this. I think it's very good to make collaborations with influencers, but I don't think that influencers should create the public discourse. And also, I think that young people that we're talking about are not media illiterate, so they know why they're following a specific influencer. I like how she dresses, I'm following her because of that. But it doesn't mean that they will cherish every opinion that this influencer has and so on. And they also, by expressing a lot of opinions, some influencers who come into the field that's not their field and not their specialty, and why young people are following them, they have a serious risk of losing followers, and these things happen. So I think, as Lorin mentioned, we should not ignore them. We should work together, especially around important topics, important for the society. But I think that being an influencer and being a journalist are very different things. And I mean, you can say that some very popular journalists, even, I don't know, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, were influencers. We can say that they were influencers in some way, like public influencers, but being an influencer online, a digital influencer, that's a job that has a completely different logic than being a public advocate and being a journalist. So these two things are very, very different.
Yeah, if I can add something, I agree with Marina. Being an influencer is one thing. Being maybe I can call it opinion leader would be be something else. So I do agree with what you said, and I didn't mean in a way to for the journalists to become because my perception for influencers is the people who promote a certain lifestyle or a certain way of doing things in order to get paid by brands or promoting the content. So it's very important also to be aware, and to our job as journalists are to address these kind of false narratives that are being repeated by not only individual influencers but also pages. So there's the terrain for the journalists to work, to do fact checking, to do the journalistic work, and to tell the truth and to analyze the consequences of the lies, I would say, in this situation.
Thank you, Lorin. And before we start to wrap up and actually focus on the questions from the audience, and I will remind you, please, to leave your question down below. I have a question for all of you, all three of you, and please just in three bullet points try to answer. So for media outlets who are, I don't know, presumably small local media outlets where most of the employees are people of older generation or who are not necessarily tech savvy or don't have in their newsrooms younger people, what would be the first steps in bridging that gap and for them to start engaging better with younger audiences? What would be your advice, starting with Norbert, for example?
Well, first of all, what they could do, and this is basically, for free, they could check relevant sources, relevant researches regarding, about the younger generations. Then check Oblakoder, check, I don't know, Citizen's Channel, check other websites, and basically copy the strategy what they are implementing. So this is something what you can do, and this is something which is not illegal. So you can literally check, okay, I don't know, Marina, I will follow Oblakoder in the upcoming few weeks, and I will check the topics. I will check the language. I will check the forms and formats. I will do the same with the Citizen channel, whatever. So these are for free. This is one thing. The second thing is, from my point of view, it's quite important to start to talk to those new generations, not just on the social, not just offline, which is also very important, because it's quite important, but online. You can ask your younger generations on Instagram, on okay, Facebook not, but on Instagram, let's say, ask them, what do you think, what is the most important issue today in our community, or whatever? Think about the question and try to do that. And once when you have all that data, you can use it to create a better content or more engaging content for those younger generations. This is not so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lorin.
Yeah. First thing to answer, I think no one is born with tech skills, so it's never late to start to start the process of learning. From my individual experience, the most productive way is self-learning. So you can do hundreds of trainings, but when you finish the trainings, if you don't experiment and implement the things that you have learned, you will forget it in a week. Of course, for newsrooms, I think it's very important to invest in their human resources, either new or existing human resources, in terms of also training, but also challenging and going out of your comfort zone continuously, and check free resources for trainings. There are lots of very high quality free resources for training in multimedia, and in the end it is learning by doing. So independency, and maybe you start with your own profile, you do the mistakes there before you switch to the media channel, and you see what goes well, what goes wrong, and you try to implement the lessons learned in the media products that you do. Yeah, and one thing is also very important: investing on equipment. Investing on equipment and investing on software, because you cannot say I have bought a camera 10 years ago and it will still be useful now, or a microphone or cell phone or whatever equipment. Of course, it's hard because there are things that costs. But for example, switching from filming with big cameras that are very expensive to filming with mobile phones with very good cameras and software, and buying a few accessories can be a good way to start turning into production of visual content.
Marina?
Yeah, I agree with both Norbert and Lorin, but I would have to say the first thing, if they want to create content for young people, is to employ young people in their media outlets. That would be number one. Or just make an option of them volunteering and then employing them, because one of the things that made young people, that was very repulsive for young people when it comes to creating content for young people, was creating content for young people by older people who don't know their habits, what they're interested in, and so on. So when it comes to that dialogue, I think every media outlet should have a diverse, the people who are employed should be diverse. So you should have different opinions in your media outlet in order to be able to present them. So I think that it would be very forceful if media outlet would just want to create content for young people without having young people working for them, having young people be these voices. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we made Oblakoder in the first place. So that's why I'm saying this. But also, I think that the key thing that's also related with being open-minded, because there are a lot of people who are, I mean, this is specific for every work field, that people are for so long doing the same things that it's very hard for them to try and do something new. And when it comes to journalism, you need to shift your perspective in order to communicate with a new audience. So, I mean, this is not only related to young people as an audience, it's related to writing about different social issues, about different values, and so on. So this is all connected together. But I think that, I mean, all of that Lorin and Norbert has said also, but also an addition should be having young people on your team. And I think it's also a good thing, because there are a lot of journalism students that don't have any place to practice. So maybe having them work for 3 months, 6 months, also not to exploit them, but give them a chance and maybe give them an option to work at your media outlet. I think that's very crucial to this issue.
And Marina, we actually have a question from an audience member for you, and it's from Ivan, and he says, fantastic to hear about the large numbers of direct to website audience. So I'm guessing this is referring to one of the first questions. However, according to my info, only 35% of website audience for Oblakoder is under 35. So we have some inside info. What do you think is the main attraction or advantage of Oblakoder's website for young audiences? What are the methods to push young audiences to media websites, into the I find news and off social media, and especially into reading long read articles?
Okay, so many questions in one question, and also some inside information. Well, as I said, the thing that we like to guide our audience to are the articles, but also you need to, I mean, everything that both Lorin and Norbert mentioned is something that we have to do. So make our all of our content on social media attractive. So I think it maybe when I explained it, it sounded oversimplified, but all of our content that is posted on social media is very well thought through. So when we're writing about a social topic, we have questionnaires, then we ask our audience what their opinions are. We have several stories that just explode because you have a direct communication with your audience. And we like to call our audience a community and not an audience, because we are trying to form this type of dialogue with them. So a few months ago in Serbia, there was a case when a guy who was working as a delivery guy for a company that was delivering, he overstepped and was sending messages to some girl that he delivered food to, and then this came to the public eye and it exploded. It was chaos because she complained and he lost his job. At that same day, we were figuring out what we should write about that, and a couple of girls contacted us when we wrote about. We did like a story asking them, has this ever happened to you? We had more than 200 women contact us, but not only women, also men, sending us screenshots, sending their stories. So we wrote a piece about that. So I think that, in order to engage an audience, you need to be, and this is not only about young people, this is not only about web portals that we are and so on, not only about social media, every type of media, I think, connects to its audience. And why the audience connects to them, because they think that you're talking to them directly, you're answering to their needs, you're asking questions for them, you're giving them a voice, but you're being their voice at the same time. So I think that when I say that, okay, yes, we do, we also make quizzes. Our social media content is very carefully designed. We do illustrations, we do different things to grab their attention. we also transform when we talk about a serious topic that you have an article about, you try to explain that with visuals so they can find it in small short pieces that are specifically designed with not many words, and then they become interested in the topic and so on. So there are many techniques, but I think the first one is trying to have this audience engaged, and maybe part of this participation is actually being for them to be able to directly communicate with you, and then they feel heard, and then they feel that they can trust you. And we also had situations when our audience doesn't like what we are writing about, and they think that they feel that they can say to us, okay, this is a complete nonsense, and we say, okay, this is your opinion, and so on. I mean, you need to give them liberty. And also I think that as Norbert mentioned, that young people like to hear opinions. We don't give them that. We don't give them opinions of our own when we do serious pieces. We have like writing pieces that are author based, but at the same time, they feel that these are some real people. We're not far away. If we respond to their every message, we're not far away, we're there for them. So it doesn't matter who wrote the article, they know it's someone that they can talk to and directly contact this person. So
Trust more than anything, I think.
yeah. So I mean, all of that, I don't know if I answered precisely to the question, but all of that combined makes them interested in your content. And thank you, Ivan, for the question.
We have the last question is from Martina, and it says, have you done any specific engagement campaign aimed at attracting Gen Z? Can you describe the campaign and how successful it was? I'm not sure who this is directed to, but maybe Lorin can give an answer.
Yeah, we have been lucky enough to work with you for a recent campaign. So it's not a media campaign. It's been a crowdfunding campaign for our capacity building platform. Of course, being a crowdfunding campaign, it was directed to general public and followers. It's not directed to a certain generation, but considering that our audience is mostly, I would say, young, middle-aged, the messages and design and everything was directed to them. But beyond that, I think we are campaigning daily by producing the content. So, for example, this week we wrote about the safety of young women at the student campus here in Tirana. So if you write about topics that have a certain way of belonging to certain communities, it doesn't have to be young people. It can be also local communities interested about several issues. Then what you expect that they give you back is you get back engagement from them. And we haven't done it intentionally, but we're now in the process of analyzing and finding out that by doing this continuously, by doing community-based reporting on several issues, that's a very good strategy to build a loyal audience. So, for example, there are people that have joined us for our reporting against hydropower plants in Zaldioțai that are now regular followers and engage and promote and read our work also on other topics. So you become a credible source of information by doing, I can say, collaborative reporting or focused reporting on a specific time on a specific topic.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for being guests. Thank you to all the participants who stayed longer than we expected to have this webinar, but I think we managed to give some of the answers at least. I think you had a chance to hear some very valuable advice and experiences. I just want to kind of read things I managed to write down. So learning by doing, that's something that I think Norbert said. Also learning from others is a very important thing, to try to copy others' work and test it in your work, and experiment and see where it leads you. Try to get younger people in your newsrooms. Try to employ them. If you cannot, try to have volunteers, people who will give fresh blood to your newsrooms and give new ideas. Format is important also, as much as the text. The way we present stories is also very important. And also what Marina said in the end, giving a voice to your community, but also being their voice. So this is just I'm trying to summarize what we covered here. Thank you again so much, and thank you for listening. And I hope to see you in a month where we'll talk about some other topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia, and to everyone who joined. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.